there, YouTube. I'm back again today for another game review. Today, I'm very excited to check out Icecool2 from Brain Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 6+. It'll take about 30 minutes to play. And in Icecool2, this is a standalone expansion to one of my favorite games of all time, Icecool, which is a delightful game in which you are going to be taking these little weeble-wobbly penguins and flicking them all around this penguin school in order to avoid a hall monitor, or, if you're the hall monitor, trying to catch other people. Now, Icecool2 is essentially another copy of Icecool, but with some added bells and whistles. But when you can combine both of them, you can make these big, elaborate schools, and you can unlock a new race mode that you are able to play. So we're looking at this game both as a standalone game, but also as an expansion. Is it better than the original Icecool? Is it worth getting both of them? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what's going to get inside of Icecool2. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. It is 12 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it's very well done. It should have you up and running in no time at all. And for the most part, if you know how to play the original Icecool 1, then Icecool2 is going to be incredibly familiar, because Icecool2 is pretty much another version of Icecool, but with some special bells and whistles and upgrades to the game. You're also going to get this Icecool plus Icecool2 rule booklet, which will show you a bunch of different ways you can set up these more elaborate schools and teach you how to play the new race game mode, and also play the original game mode, but with more players. And I'm just going to give you the shorthand on it. Pretty much, when you have more players, you're just going to have 2 catchers instead of 1 catchers. And also in the race game mode, what you're going to be doing is you're going to have a teammate, and you're going to both be trying to get to a final location while at the same time collecting your fish along the way. And you can only win once both you and your teammate have gotten all your fish and then have gotten to the final location. But I am going to focus more on the base game rules and what's new in Icecool 2. So in Icecool, your job is to try to flick your penguin through doorways in order to collect your fish. And you'll see that you're going to start the game with 3 fish spread around the board. So your goal is to get through these doorways. Now, one person is going to be what is called the hall monitor, and they're going to start on the different end of their school, and their goal is to try and hit you, bam, like so, and then collect your ID card, which are somewhere around here. I don't know where I put those. And when you collect ID cards, you're going to get points, or when you collect fish, you're going to get points, and we'll explain that a little bit later. So let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay. So first, you might notice this is a very large board. It has a unique box-in-box system, which I'm sure there is a picture of. Yeah, it looks like that, where you're going to be putting the boxes inside the boxes to make it so it's not a huge, gigantic game. Very cool idea in the first one, very cool idea in the second one. Next, you're going to be getting 4 new colors in the game, and you're going to be getting 3 fish. Now, the big thing I want to mention about this is they are plastic now instead of wood, which I think is a great choice, because I actually had one of the wood fish break just because somebody pushed it down too far and it split right in the middle. So I think the choice to move to plastic was a good one. Also, the different locations in the school are different and distinctive. So this is an art classroom. This is more like the lunch table where everybody's going to be sitting. They do feel different, which is nice. Actually, I think that's the science room, maybe. Not quite sure. But they are distinctive. Hey, there's a pen. Get out of here. So next, everybody's going to get their ID card. It looks like this, and their little color reminder to help remind you what color they be. So when you start the game, you're going to set it up. It's going to look like this, and one person is going to be the hall monitor, and the other 3 people are going to be trying to catch that fish. And how you do it, on your turn, you're going to flick it 1 time. You can flick it a couple different ways. You can try to jump it like that. You can try and curve it like, let's see, like this, which didn't work. But your goal is to try and get through the doorways like so in order to collect the fish. Now, why do you want to collect the fish? What happens when you collect all the fish? Well, if you collect all the fish, then the round is going to be over. If the hall monitor is able to hit all the people in the game, then the round will also be over. And at the end of a round, what's going to happen is you are going to collect these point cards, which are over here. They come in the increments of 1, 2, and 3. Now, different in this game is that how the point cards work a little bit. So these are all going to be shoveled up. Right now, I do have them separated. And on the bottom of the ones, there's going to be different trick shots you can try and take. So the rule that was in the first game was that if you flip over 2 of the ones, you are automatically going to get to take another turn, which is a cool rule. But with this one, there's certain trick shots, which if you are able to accomplish the trick shot, you say, all right, I'm going to jump over a wall, bam, I just did it, you actually get to replace your 1 with a different card, presumably, which will have a higher value. And there's a couple different ones, go through 2 doors, bounce off a wall and go through a door. Couple different stuff in the game you're going to be able to do. Also different in this game is that if you have 2 twos, you're going to be able to flip over both your twos. You're still going to get the points for them, but you're going to be able to manipulate and move someone's fish anywhere in the game. So let's say purple is about to win the game. You can just say, oop, we're going to move you right there, which is also a cool little addition to the game. Now, on the hall monitor side of things, you are going to get a card for each of the ID passes that you're able to collect, and also you are going to get one for your own ID pass because you're just, you're the hall monitor, so you get some sort of perk, but you're also going to get more of the points based on how many people you catch. You're going to go until everyone has had a turn to be a hall monitor, at which point the game will end. Now, if you do have this as an expansion, there are really elaborate setups you can do, and some are really cool. Like this one actually has you sliding the box and manipulating the box that's in the middle. I will say these things are really cool, but they're sometimes difficult to set up. You really need to look at the pictures on the inside. You can't just look at the numbers. You actually have to look at the classrooms, but I'll talk more about that in the pros and the cons. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get inside of Icecool2. Alright then, Icecool2 from Brain Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go with the pros, let's go with the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. If you did not like the original Icecool, I don't know if this one will sway you. I will say, I would still recommend trying it at the larger player counts and playing the race mode, because the race mode is my new favorite way to play. I think it's a really cool concept, and I like it an awful lot, adding a team element to the game. But yeah, if you didn't like the original Icecool for one reason or another, I don't know if this is necessarily going to sway you, because it is still a game about flicking penguins and trying to get them through doors, which will not be a turnoff, which will be a turnoff for some people. Also, if someone's really good at this game, they're still going to crush you. Like, if they can bend it like Beckham and get the angles and flip over stuff, they're still just going to absolutely wallop you, which isn't the most fun to get crushed. Another comment of this game is that I feel like there's a real missed opportunity to make an expansion box that could fit everything. I would have loved to have seen it if there was a box inside of a box system, except that this box was bigger than the original box, so you could fit all the stuff inside of Icecool2. I felt like that was a missed opportunity. I would have really liked that, because now I have to keep both boxes because the game's fantastic. Spoiler alert, it's a nitpick, but it is something that I would have liked to have seen. Another con that I have with this game is that it is still a dexterity game, and it's still a family/children/party game, which, you have to know that going into it. There's not any real deep, nuanced strategy in this game. There is some positioning and when to use your cards, and they added some extra strategy with being able to flip over the twos, but it's still a silly flicking game that is aimed at families and parties and children. That's what I got. Not much to talk about here. Moving on to the pros, a lot to talk about there. Icecool2 is outstanding. Slap a Bowers Best Seal on it. The original one did not get a Bowers Best Seal. It was close. I love the game. I still have the game. I think it's fantastic. This one does, both as a base game and as a standalone game. And the very simple answer is, if I have Icecool1 and I really enjoy Icecool1, should I get Icecool2? And the answer is yes, if you play it with more than 4 players. If you want to play it with more than 4 players, absolutely, pull the trigger. This is an outstanding expansion to add. If you're looking at this, you're like, I don't have Icecool1. Should I get Icecool1 or should I get Icecool2? The answer is get Icecool2. I think the improvements they made, while minor for the most part, are definite improvements in both components, but also adding some depth to the game. Very, very minor depth to the game. So what do I like about Icecool2? First and foremost, I like the new cards. I like the trick shot cards. I think that's a really interesting aspect to the game, because you could flip them both over to take another turn, or it's like, oh, well, I could probably flick this thing over and get added extra bonus points. I do like that. I also like how the twos work. I think that's a really cool concept to add to the game, where you can flip over 2 twos, and now you can move somebody's fish, which can potentially prolong the game, so you can yourself get another fish, or maybe you can, if you're the hall monitor, you can make it send it so that the person has to come closer to you, or there's various different ways you can do that. And I think that those small added additions to the game are very welcome additions. But the obvious thing that I have to mention is I think the move to the plastic components with the fish is a really subtle but welcome addition, because as I mentioned in the middle part, I had a fish that broke, and I imagine there's been other people who had fish that broke, because if you push down too hard on them, they kind of crack in the middle after repeated plays, which this game, especially if you have kids, is going to get repeated plays. Also, on a minor addition, I do like the new room is better than the old rooms, especially the art room. The art room looks really stinking cool. I think it looks really neat. But moving on to actual Icecool2. The race mode is fantastic. It is my new favorite way to play the game. I like it an awful lot. Having two hall monitors is okay. I could take it or leave it, but honestly, if I have 7 or 8 players, or 6 players, or 5 players even, I would much rather prefer the race version of the game. And I didn't realize how much I quote-unquote don't like the original version of the game until I played the race version of the game, and now I just want to play the race version of the game every single time. I think it's a much more interesting game, but that being said, with the race version of the game, you can't get into the scenario where someone finishes the race, and then they're pretty much just out. They're just waiting for their partner to get there, which is somewhat of a con. I also like how they took the time and the effort to make a whole bunch of different school layouts, and the different school layouts is a really cool addition. You know, it's a minor thing because it doesn't feel drastically, wildly different based on how you have the school layout, but it is a nice addition. And I also especially like the box moving thing, because there'll be times you're like, I don't really need to move the box because I'm trying to do this, and you'll have them where like, oh, I should have moved the box because it flipped over or something like that. You'll have some fun moments with the box movement. And in the end, Icecool was already a fantastic game. It was already a game that I could recommend to you. It's one of my favorite children/family games of all time. The kids in my class love it. My son loves it. My wife loves it. I love it. Everyone I've introduced Icecool2 has really liked the game. It's fantastic. Icecool2 takes Icecool, makes it into a better game. So it could just be a second edition of the game, but now you can combine both of them and play the race version of the game and go up to 8 players, and it's a no-brainer. Icecool2 is out freaking standing. If you like Icecool1, get this. Done deal. End of discussion. It turns it into a party game. Which is, yeah, let me tell you, I got a chance to play this with a whole bunch of adults. So we played a 8-player version of this game, and it was a blast. We played it for like an hour and a half. Just game after game after game. It's just so much fun. Really enjoy it. Icecool2, immediate recommendation if you like Icecool, or if you're thinking about getting Icecool, go get Icecool2 as opposed to Icecool1. You can get Icecool later, and then you can play a massive 8-player, 7-player, 6-player version of the game. This is a game that I'm going to bring to family get-togethers. This is a game that I'm going to bring into my classroom. This is a game that I'm going to potentially bring. I think this is a great convention game too, especially if you have a table to set it up at. It's got great table appeal, and it's just can't say enough good things about it. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Did you know? Oh, we're going to do a little factoid here. I normally don't do this. Did you know that if you're hot, you should actually drink hot liquids? Because it tricks your body into cooling your internal temperature down, which is why in India they drink a lot of tea, because it's stupid hot over there. So there you go. Bauer's factoid of the day. If you enjoyed, yeah, I already said that part. As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.